All right, show of hands, guys. Which is your preference? The NHL All-Star Game or the Pro Bowl in Hawaii? Well, if you listen to me for a while, you could probably guess which one. However, let's go into each one just a little bit. The NHL All-Star Game has now 3 events, including the fantasy draft, if you want to consider that one. This is the only sport that does this, and if you don't know how it works, well, where have you been? It's a fantasy draft. Come on. Well, it's pretty easy. You have 2 captains and 2 alternative captains, one of which on different teams. Every player besides those 4 are available to be drafted, and each of the captains pick them until their roster is full. Now, this is where it gets interesting because in the NHL All-Star Game, there is always a possibility of having players on the same club team, like, Boston, New York, the Islanders, just something, and they can now be separated during the All-Star Game. And this isn't the first time the NHL has done this. They did this in the late 90s, early 2000s when they had the North America versus the world thing going, kind of like a mini Winter Olympic deal. But I think that's pretty cool because, in the Pro Bowl, it's a classic style of the 2 conferences. You have the East versus the West, or the NFC versus the AFC in the Pro Bowl. So I think that's pretty cool in how they have that down. And even though the draft idea, it's only in its 2nd year, I have to give a lot of credit to the NHL for thinking about this one, because this is probably one of the major 4 sports that the fantasy sporting thing, it's popular in baseball, it's popular in football, of course. Basketball, I've seen more people do it than in hockey. I'm probably the only person I know that does fantasy hockey, totally honest. But they're the first ones to jump on this idea, embrace it, and make it their own. And I think that's great because it embraces the whole fantasy sports thing, and it creates more interesting situations when you have, like last year, we had the 2 Sedin twins who've never been on different teams ever in their life who were on different teams last year. It was kind of, a little interesting thing to talk about. So besides the fantasy draft, because that doesn't even happen during the weekend, the first weekend event is a skills competition in the NHL, which, can range from cool to fun to, kind of boring or stupid depending on how you view it. It consists of a breakaway challenge, speed competitions, a relay, shootout to close out the day. And in my opinion, it's fun to watch. I like it. You have to have a little bit of a sense of humor when watching this, since obviously the breakaway competitions get, they kind of get pretty ridiculous through the rounds as they go. If you didn't see Patrick Kane's little Superman thing, that was pretty cool. He did a whole Superman layout, poked it in with the stick when he passed it in the left hand while sliding on his stomach. Kind of reminded me of a YouTube star in the NHL 12 video game, Johnny Superman. He does that a lot. He calls it his move, so I was kind of making fun of that. Corey Perry, he did a little mini goalie stick, had a goal in there. It was pretty cool. And even the goaltenders have a little fun because Carey Price, he made a no-look save. He had his back to the skater. It was pretty cool. But, yeah, you have to have a little bit of a sense of humor when watching it. And since there's props, it reminds me of the NBA dunk contest, honestly. There are props used, and sometimes the players, they can look kind of stupid if it doesn't work well. We've seen that happen quite a bit. Now, so that's that, and that's always fun to watch. But the thing where you can really start comparing the 2 is in the All-Star Game and the Pro Bowl, because that's its main event. Now, both games, they're obviously high scoring because the defense doesn't exist, to say the least, because the league, they plead the players not to be physical on the defensive side for obvious reasons, for safety reasons. And especially in the NFL, you can't even do anything in the NFL on the defense. It kind of sucks. But, I think both games are really enjoyable to watch, especially nowadays where 90% of the people are already they're really entertained by the offense. They love the offense. I like offense, personally. But that's my thing. So I find the NHL one actually more enjoyable. Now, hold on before you leave. Let me explain why. I just think the players, they enjoy the NHL All-Star Game more than I see the Pro Bowl guys do. And this is why I say this is because if you even watch the first quarter of the Pro Bowl this year, where you saw Darrelle Revis, he just got beat by Larry Fitzgerald. And he didn't even care. He had like no sign of like laughter on his face. He just straight face walked off the field. Yeah, I got beat. I don't care. In the All-Star games, the goaltenders get beat. They just have a smile on their face like, oh, I just let a third one up in 2 minutes once again. They have a good time, and they even make a joke of it sometimes. Like I said, Carey Price made a no-look save, but he had a good time. And all the players, they're skating around with smiles on their face, just doing crazy stuff. It's a good thing to watch. It's fun to watch. Both of them are fun. Don't get me wrong in that. I just like the NHL All-Star game more. It's just my personal opinion. So that's my opinion, but what is yours? Stop by the Facebook page, leave a message, hit me up on Twitter, or if you're listening on YouTube, leave a comment below, guys. Do you like the NHL All-Star Game or the NFL Pro Bowl? Or maybe is the MLB All-Star Game more your thing? Maybe the NBA? I won't know, unless if you guys tell me. So hit me up, leave me a comment, guys.